last week. I think it was Wednesday. This very anticipated playtest booklet came out. The Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. We kind of did an episode a few months ago, giving our thoughts as to whether or not paying to playtest a game has merits and all that. And for $10, I picked up a copy. I've also picked up the Demiplane copy as well. We're going to look through that. It is available on Roll20. They just announced that you can pick up the version of it on Roll20. I apologize. My voice is kind of strained and very rough tonight because I just got back from PAX East last night, very late at night. But stick around. We're going to give our thoughts on the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game that is coming, that just came out last week. Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Tonight we're giving our initial thoughts on this playtest booklet that just came out. It retails for $9.99. You can pick it up on pretty much in front of local game stores, your comic book shops, Roll20, Demiplane. Actually, I picked up the Demiplane. It arrived while I was at PAX East to my house, and I wanted to look at it and read up on it while I was at PAX East. So in the evenings, I tried to commit a couple hours just to read the Demiplane version. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're really chomping at the bit to play this and you don't mind having a digital format of this, check out the Demiplane. I forgot to put the link of where you can pick this up digitally, and I think I can probably put it on Amazon there too, down below. But if you're watching this, click on the description, and I'll put the links to all that stuff down there. Jason, you actually picked up a copy of this on Demiplane as well, as we were talking during PAX East. Your thoughts? You like it pretty well for the most part on Demiplane? Do you wish you had ordered a physical copy instead?
Oh Lord, no. Sorry, not for a playtest. This is basically like an ashcan version of a role-playing game, where you're getting like the bare bones, not barely edited kind of. You're going to toss it eventually anyway. So right. I'm not concerned with having just the PDF for this.
Excellent.
And Ben, honestly, the Demiplane implementation is really good. So
it is. It reminds me a lot of, and we talked about this a little bit before we went live. It reminds me a little bit of, actually a lot of the Cortex, the way the system is online for them in their digital tool sets that they have on their websites. I really like that format. I think I think that's really cool, and we'll take a look at it here in just a moment when I bring it on the screen as we give our initial thoughts. Ben, were you able to pick up a physical copy at your store?
I did get a physical copy in at my shop. We got a few copies. I grabbed one off the shelf to check out because you kids and your PDFs, I don't understand you.
Before we get too far in, I just want to say that if you're listening to the audio podcast of this episode, you can join us every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do all sorts of lists and initial thoughts and all sorts of episodes every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, we do actual plays most of the time on Wednesday nights at 9 as well. So feel free to give us a follow, subscribe on YouTube, all that jazz. We greatly appreciate that. If you would like to see an actual play of this game on the show, hit the like button down below and let me know in the comments if it's something you'd like to see as well. And and maybe tell me what villains you'd like to see the players fight against or face off against. I think that would be pretty fun. All right, let's dive right in. I'm going to bring up the Demiplane version on the screen, and we'll just go through it chapter by chapter, if that's okay with you all. And if anybody has any questions as we're going through the chapter, feel free to give your thoughts and comments, and I'll try to keep an eye on those as we go along. So you guys all ready to dive right in?
Sure. Yeah, let's hit it.
All right. Let's bring it on screen. All right. So Demiplane, you can go to demiplane.com and buy this, and it's the same price as if you were to get the physical copy. Super well laid out. Of course, the first chapter is, of course, the introduction.
You can't use the word super for the rest of the broadcast.
Oh, sorry. The first chapter is, of course, the introduction. Just kind of tells you what the game is all about, what a role play game is, what you need. You need the book. You need a group of people to play with. I would say usually you're probably going to want like at least a GM and 2 players. You're probably going to want 3 or 4, probably 5. Just so then that way.
It depends if you're playing a group or not. You could play a
that's
duo.
True too.
Like you could do Power Man and Iron Fist with just 2 people.
That's true. You very very good point, Jason. You're going to want a set of dice. You're going to want 3 D6s. You're going to want 2 that are the same color and 1 that's a different color. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. You're going to want some character sheets, which they give you in this book, and you can find them online and download. And then you're going to want some pencil. You want a pencil and some eraser. So
just one pencil.
Just one.
A pencil.
A pencil. That's all you're going to do.
You have to fight over it at the table.
And if it breaks, you're done.
You're done. Yes, when you run out of pencil, you're done.
So I kind of went over what you needed: the dice, the character sheets, the pencil. You're going to use this book. Basically, if you're the GM, or the narrator. They call the GM in this game the narrator. And then if you have any questions, you can go to www.marvel.com/RPG. That's pretty cool. And I'm sure you can give some feedback. In fact, if you look in the upper corner of this screen on Demiplane, it actually says submit playtest feedback, which is really neat to.
That's really nice, especially being a playtest rulebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
A simple click away is you're going to get more feedback that way. So
Yep.
Definitely.
It also goes over some safety considerations with everyone. Make sure you're all having fun, being respectful, being kind. Make sure you're all on the same page. This goes over like a session 0, all the questions that you usually ask when you're starting out an RPG session. The one thing that I liked immediately off the bat was this. It says, "Which universe?" And basically, this is the multiverse, the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. So I like the fact that they're basically letting you have your own Marvel universe to play in. So like, just because you've read comics and you've read movies and everything, they're like, okay, well, this is one of the multiverses that your character's playing in. And sometimes if you take that character and play with another group, maybe you're visiting another multiverse, which I thought was very clever and really a great way to kind of bring it in.
It's a really smart thematic way to basically tell your players and give them permission to break the canon. Like,
absolutely.
Have fun with it. This is a roleplay game. It's meant to be fun. You don't have to worry about adhering to strict timelines or character relationships or everything. Just do your own thing. Have a good time with it.
In comic books, people are big on that sort of ridiculousness.
Oh, they absolutely are. And
Spider-Man would never do this.
So I thought that was really clever. I like that a lot, and I thought that was great. And then it just kind of goes over more playtesting. So that's chapter 1. Super easy. Super goes over just like the base stuff that you need and how to get going. Now let's get to the core mechanics. That's what chapter 2 is. It just goes over, how to actually play the game. Action checks. So this is, they call the 3d6 that you're going to roll, because I said you're going to have 2 die that are the same color and 1 that's a different color. They're calling that your D616. It's basically 3 6-sided dice. So yeah, you're gonna roll pretty much whenever you want to check. You're gonna roll the 3 dice and compare it against any modifiers, and then you're gonna apply the action modifiers and then compare it against a target number. So this is kind of where I'm kind of on the fence with the system, and Ben and I kind of talked about this a little bit before we went live. So you roll a D616. So anytime you roll 3d6 and that one colored die that is different than the other two rolls a 1, that means that you rolled a fantastic roll as long as the other two dice aren't 1s. So, and you're supposed to count the 1 as a 6. I get where they're going with this, but that's kind of confusing for me. Like, you have to kind of remember that a 1 on that particular one die is actually a good thing. Whereas we've been told all of our lives that 1s are bad, and in this system, it's okay to roll 6s. I don't know. It's okay to roll 1s on one particular die, but not on others. I totally get like how why they're doing it. It's for me, unless I have branded Marvel dice, which they are going to package, I think later on down the road, which is super smart. And it definitely gives them a way to sell Marvel branded, 616 dice. Until I have those, or maybe I'll make my own or something. That's going to be kind of confusing for me. I don't know about you guys.
It's a gimmick. I get it. It's a gimmick, but it's not a difficult gimmick.
Okay.
It takes a few minutes to really cement it in your brain, honestly.
Yeah, it's a different color die. It's not like you got to keep track of multiple things. There's only 3 dice being rolled on the table in these rolls.
And I haven't played it yet, so maybe I'm just and it could be just me just overthinking it. And that I know it's hard to believe that maybe I overthink things, right? I know, right?
Not you.
And honestly, it helps out in the fact that essentially your dice pool has on that one die 2 6s. You can roll a regular 6, and then you can roll your fantastic 6.
Oh, absolutely.
So I like that because you're superheroes. You're supposed to be doing cool stuff more often. So having a 1 on everything, with the exception of when you roll triple 1s, that's fine. I'm happy with it. Like, it feels like it's something that will maybe trip you up on your first couple of rolls, and then after that, it's going to just be second nature to be like, oh, I did something cool.
Sure. Aaron in the comments here says it actually played seamlessly. Our players got the hang of it within a few minutes of actual play, and that's probably the case. I'm just probably overthinking it more than anything else. And this is and Ron has a great point, and this is where I kind of feel. We'll talk about this probably later on down the road. But Ron says, I imagine someone new to RPGs being confused by this dice mechanic, and if said newbie only knows the MCU, then this mechanic won't be as cool to them. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I feel like this is an RPG that is probably going to introduce a lot of folks, just like we had an episode about the Avatar RPG in the Powered by the Apocalypse system and how that's going to introduce a lot of players. Like, I feel like this is going to also introduce a lot of players. This is going to be one generation's first RPG.
I disagree with Ron's first statement. If someone is new to RPGs and this is the only system they learn, it's not going to be hard for them at all, because it's what they know. But yeah, I can definitely see it on the second half of the statement. Being if they're not familiar with the comic book concept of universe of Earth 616, you're kind of scratching your head why.
Yeah, so you have to take a couple of minutes to explain why a 616 is cool.
But they explain it right at the beginning of the book, so I guess it's not difficult. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Eric says that they didn't want 666 to be the best result.
That is
that's
true.
Probably true as well.
Hashtag Mephisto confirmed.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get going a little bit further. It says applying action modifiers. Add the character's action modifier for the ability. We'll see those in just a little bit on the character sheet because they give a character sheet. And usually the action modifier ranges anywhere between -5 to +20. And sometimes there's circumstantial modifiers to the roll. You compare the totals to the target number. On an ordinary roll, if the total is greater or equal to the target number, you succeed in attempting. If the total is less than the target number, of course, you fail. Botched rolled. With a botched roll, it's basically you roll ones and then also the Marvel one on the one on the Marvel roll, I think, right? Isn't that how it works? If you roll the Marvel symbol on the unique die and then the 2 ones, it's a botched roll.
Correct. Yeah, it's a Marvel symbol and double ones.
It's basically like crit failing.
They have is it called a botch or isn't it called something else?
No, it says botched on there.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I read the rules through on like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I read them and had PAX East at the same time. So there's some stuff that's stuck in my brain, some stuff that I didn't. So fantastic roll. If the total is equal or greater than the target number, you achieve a fantastic success. You didn't just succeed, you triumphed. And many powers in the Marvel Multiverse universe, in the MMRPG, that's what I'm going to call it from now on, have special effects triggered by fantastic successes. If your total is less than...
That reminds me a lot of like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that, and some of the other TCGs out there where they have condition modifiers where like you meet these conditions and this activates. You know,
sure.
Yep. I think they're kind of hoping to capture that as an RPG element now.
I also like the fact that it says if the total is less than the target number, you failed at that action, but still something good happens. So it's like you failed, but you also kind of succeeded in some smaller way. I actually really, really like that part of this game. It's
not just you failed and you suck.
Right. It says doing the math. It may seem like there are a lot of numbers flying around. Feel free to use a calculator. Of course, everybody's mathematics abilities are varied. So feel free to bring some help. And if you're playing at the table and anybody has to bring a calculator because they don't feel confident in their mathematical abilities, don't give them a hard time. Let's just put it out there like that. Fantastic rolls add extra drama to the game. So you get on a fantastic failure. Again, it's no but a result. Something special still happens. So the ultimate fantastic roll, lucky players might end up with an I love this, an ultimate fantastic roll. Like, that is great. And that's basically when you roll the 616. You roll the 2 6s on the 2 special colored die, and then the on the pair of dice, and then the 1 on the special die. I think that's cool. The ultimate fantastic roll I love the name for it. I think that's great. Target numbers range from 8 to 40. By default, action checks are challenging. So if it's something, so you've got a little target number modifier chart right here where it says trivial, easy, routine, challenging, difficult, ridiculous, and impossible. Very cool.
That's one of my favorite mechanics that they've introduced in this, the whole concept of target numbers.
Really? Okay.
Because it allows you to set a bar and then your character's abilities modify how difficult that bar is to reach. So everyone has a single number to focus on.
Right.
And then they're trying to use their character's abilities or creative role-playing even to try and meet and exceed that bar. Like, that really streamlines play. When everybody doesn't have their own individual, like, oh, I need a 14, I need a 17, he needs a 12, this guy needs a 12. Like, you don't need any tables. There's nothing to consult like the old days of second edition D&D with THACO, where everybody's trying to figure out where they fall on the chart. It's just, hey, your target number is 19. I have an agility that's ridiculously high, so it brings it down by 7 points for me when I roll. That's all I need to worry about. Done.
I totally agree with that statement as well. You check the action check format. If an action has a static target number, then the action check uses the format ability versus target number, much as like a make of might versus a target number 20 action check. Edges and troubles. Let's talk about edges and troubles. So I thought this was kind of clever. if your character has like, it's kind of like an advantage, or they have like a favorable situation.
Something's
they
going
get,
well for them.
yeah, exactly. You the narrator, GM here in this situation, can grant your character an edge. If so, you can re-roll a single die on that action check. So if you roll 3 dice and you don't like one of them, then you can re-roll one of them, which is great. And then sometimes you might have more than one edge, so you can re-roll more than one die, which I think is pretty cool.
And the thing to point out about these rerolls is you don't just take whatever the new number is. You get to choose the higher. So if you choose to re-roll a 2 and you get a 1, you're still going to get that 2. So it's not a risk thing. You legitimately have a chance to improve.
Yeah, no, I love that very much, and I love the fact that like if you roll a 5 on that Marvel die, which is you might not re-roll that because you have like a 2.
5 is a good number.
5, yeah, 5's a really good number. So you could roll like a 6 or a 1.
Well, you have a 32% chance of rolling a 6 or a 1 if you re-roll it. So do you want to play those odds or keep the 5?
But like, say you had an edge and you rolled the 2 6s and then a 4 on your Marvel die. You re-roll that Marvel die and you hope for that.
I would make that gamble anytime.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you have troubles, which is like disadvantages. This is where you have you make the narrator lets you makes you re-roll one of your die that might come up really, and then you have to take the worst of the 2. And I think it says that the narrator actually chooses which die, if I remember correctly.
Yes, with the trouble,
yeah.
That's kind of I like that mechanic actually because it involves your GM. Sorry, I'm not going to call it a narrator, but it involves your GM in the game a little bit. So he actually has to pay attention, he or she, or they have to pay attention to what you're rolling. So it's not just, hey, you guys all roll your dice and let me know how it goes. It's, hey, I'm going to watch you roll because if there's a trouble in this situation, I get to pick which one of these suckers you're going to re-roll.
Yep, I think that, and I do have some things that I don't really like about the system, but there's some really clever things that I really am, and that's again another one of those things that I really dig about this 616 system. It says mixing things up. If you have both edges and troubles at the same time, they cancel each other out, and yada yada. And then it gives a sample sheet of Spider-Man. There is a lot of stuff on here. I love how I'm just going to point this out while I can. I love this demi-plane format just because all of these things, and I can't tell if it pops up. Does it pop up the little? Oh, it does. Nice. So yeah, I love how like you can just hover over something, and it brings up the power. Yep. I dig that a lot.
That is fantastic implementation in a digital product.
Yeah,
it's not just a hyperlink that takes you to it, and then you got to back up to go back to where you were in the book. Yeah. Having that pop up is really clean,
super clean, super like I cannot speak highly enough of this.
The only thing I want to see
format
in an evolution to this is character sheets that you can edit on your own version.
No,
like
yeah,
if you have the demi-plane version of this and you're playing as Spider-Man, and you should be able to add and subtract things from your sheet, not necessarily equipment-wise, but just for stat-wise. Like if you're taking damage or if you're losing an ability score or something, you should be able to modify that on your sheet and have it real-time calculate the new differences and stuff like that. That would be awesome. As much as having a character sheet made on paper is great, if they really want to make the digital implementation fly, then they need something like that.
Rodrigo says, "Isn't this Cortex?" It's not. It's its own system, and man, I'll tell you what, it's giving the website at least is giving me very very much Cortex vibes as far as the format is concerned. Rory said Spider-Man looks like a lot of fun to play. I agree. And then Aaron says damage is based on archetype, rank, and attribute. Excellent. So chapter 3 goes into game rules. That goes into character profile, which is creating your own character. You get your character data, your name, your real name, your gender, all eyes,
all
your details. Yeah.
So one of the things that I took me aback when I first was flipping through here is the fact that you get the rules for roles and combat and a rundown of the character profile before we even see the creating a character a chapter. And at first I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, tell me how to make a character before you explain everything about it. And then I'm like, no, this actually makes a lot of sense to explain everything out to me so that I know where I'm putting these points. Because so at first I was like, this book's laid out wrong. And then I read it and I'm like, no, this is intentional. This is smart to put all the information up front and then give you the options to start building your own character.
I totally agree. And well, I'll give you my thoughts on the actual physical product. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end as well. But yeah, I agree with that statement 100%, Ben. Let's see here. So yeah, you're going to give it all your details. You go into rank, and basically ranks are whatever rank you are. And I love the fact that they let you choose what rank you want to start out with. So you can play as like shield agents if you're rank 1, or you can, like, if they say that, like, if you want to play like a Spider-Man type character, you'd be like rank 10, and then like rank 25 is like your Galactus, like that type of Captain Marvel, Silver Surfer, that type of character. And I guess you'd probably, how would you do? You just like agree to at the table, like what rank you're gonna play?
Yeah, it would be like a session 0 kind of thing. You would all sit down and say, okay, are we all playing street level vigilantes like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they're basically just mutations with martial arts skills or something like that? Or, do we want to be like the Fantastic Four, doing cosmic level stuff? And you'd make that decision, and then you could just sit down and create your characters based on that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's a discussion you have with your table where you're going to fall in the rank. But it's also open-ended enough that, like, if you have a player that may be new to RPGs and doesn't want to have to juggle 20 different powers around, they could be a rank 5 character that's like the new person on the team. And you don't necessarily, at least looking at it, they wouldn't necessarily be super fragile like you would in a traditional roleplay game with, like, a fraction of the hit points and everything. Obviously they'll have some penalties for being below in rank, but it doesn't feel like it's such a thing as, like, running a second level character with an 8th level party in D&D.
Right, you're insignificant and not really adding to anything of the session.
That's where you get the characters that have the unusual powers, who may not be great in combat, but they're super smart or something like that. Like like you get your what was that guy's name from the New Mutants? Cypher. He was incredibly smart. He could speak any language. He could pick up basically any. He was incredibly good at that sort of thing. But physically, he was just a kid who was just, holy cow, I'm going to get my butt kicked out here while people are shooting magma from their hands and, launching projectiles everywhere. So there's some merit to playing stuff like that, too. I mean, you could just focus on all of the intellectual stuff and be like, okay, guys, protect me while I do the smart thing. The
next part of this of character creation is you choose an archetype. There's 6 of them. Blaster, which is you're basically ranged weapons, more than likely. You're fighting people at a distance.
I like that Cyclops and Hawkeye are in the same boat in this one. They're both effectively blasters. But Hawkeye is like, you wouldn't think about Hawkeye and Cyclops in the same group normally.
Normally you wouldn't, absolutely. Bruiser, that's just your tanks, your Hulks, your things, your Colossus. Geniuses, which is like Dr. Doom, Mr. Fantastic. Polymath, which are basically really well-rounded champions, people more like Iron Man and Spider-Man and Thor. Your protector, those who assist defend. So like Doctor Strange, Invisible Woman, Professor X, those type of, and then striker, and those are people who really kind of get up and close and personal and love to fight. You've got, so this is the thing that I kind of groaned a little bit. I'll be honest, I groaned a little bit when I read this, but I totally give them mad props for trying to stay on brand. So
Yep.
there are 6 abilities in this game, and they are might, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic. And if you take those and make them an acronym, it spells Marvel. And okay,
it's
on brand. It's on brand.
Whatever. They made it work.
And
it is what it is.
Yeah, they managed to make it work. None of the abilities are massively overlappy.
Right.
None of them are just straight up cheese. It works.
I totally agree, and
I'm sure they probably bent their brains around it for a while trying to come up with the proper wording for it.
But you know what? It works. Mad props to the team for making it all kind of come together. And yeah, that's okay. Hey, you know what? It is,
and it's going to look great on the character sheet going down the line. Marvel.
It will. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So your average score for any ability is 0. So standard human level abilities range from -4 if you're extremely ill. Hopefully, not everybody isn't extremely ill. And then +4 is the limit to human ability. So you've got a 4-point swing in either way that way. And then superpowered
That's an
characters.
8-point swing, Doug.
Oh, 8 point. Wow. 4 points from 0. Let's put it that way. Might measures your physical strength. Let's see. Agility, of course, is your coordination and your reaction time. Resilience is your stamina. Vigilance represents situational awareness, mindfulness, discipline. Ego, which I thought measures energy, self-confidence, personal magnetism. Yeah, it's like a charisma stat. Yeah. And then logic represents powers of reason and insight, and ability checks, ability defenses, health, focus. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of what else. Karma. I totally forgot that I read about karma. Karma represents a wild mix of luck, grit, and destiny that all seems to intervene in the lives of heroes. After a character makes an action check, they can spend a point of karma to gain an edge on a check. Earning karma, that's what I wanted to know. If a player did an excellent job role-playing the character, awesome. If the character rescued somebody, if the character went out. So it's basically like a story point. If
you're being a hero in some way or other, you're likely going to walk away with some karma.
I particularly like the character shouted their catchphrase at an appropriate moment. Like,
awesome.
Yes.
I kind of
playing comic book heroes.
I want to make a character that has like a really absurd catchphrase now, and just so then that way I can say it and like gain karma every single time.
Well, that's also at the discretion of the GM. So I mean,
oh no, it says in the book. It
literally says right there. The narrator can give a character.
Give.
Let's see here. Initiative modifier. Basically, that's when you can act during combat. Speed, damage,
all the typical stuff. The damage is a little interesting. In that
size.
It's modified.
The speed thing was what threw Amanda off earlier when we were talking about it briefly in the chat.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that.
It is a little bit weird because it's your base human speed is 25 plus your agility stat plus further modifiers. So that's why Amanda was really confused by some of the numbers where they added up to like how is a movement of 63 allow me to move 13 spaces? Like where's the math there?
Spider-Man's web slinging ability, I think, is what it was.
Yeah,
I think that's what she was looking at.
Yeah. Well, you got gravity on your side when you're web slinging, you know?
Yeah.
Get that terminal velocity.
The one thing that always not confused me, but I always found I had trouble with representing in the Marvel games was characters with excessive movement abilities. Like you get Joe Average Guy who can run 50 feet in a round or whatever, And then you get somebody like the Hulk who can easily leap city blocks. So it's tough to maintain a proper map.
Right.
Like if you have a map that's only so large, like say you have a map that's like 100 feet by 100 feet marked out in 5-foot squares. So 20 squares by 20 squares. What do you do when the Hulk says, or the guy playing the Hulk says, well, I want to leap across to Brooklyn? Like, okay, well, we'll see you in the next game, I guess. What? I mean, come try and find us when you leap back.
Yeah, like, I mean, you look at the, towards the back of the book, they've got the character profile for Storm, and, you know, her foot speed is 27 or 5 spaces. But the flight speed is 405 or 81 spaces. Like, show me someone whose gaming table is 81 spaces wide.
Right.
And character playing Storm, go stand in the kitchen, and we'll call you later.
There are a couple of things, aspects of this game that I think they overcomplicate. Just like I don't know, if you're playing online, I don't think like some of that stuff will come into play.
Yeah, you're gonna hand wave a lot of that stuff. It's gonna be like, okay, for the time being, you're out of everyone's combat range, and next round, when you leap back, we'll somehow place you in a random spot on the map because you're not going to be super accurate coming back. Probably if you're playing the Hulk, you're gonna slam into a building and have to fight your way out of it.
Rory says, "Don't use super tactical maps for supers games." Yeah, no, definitely not.
Definitely a GM tip I subscribe to. I've actually kind of gotten away from maps in a lot of role playing lately.
Yeah, I have
much prefer theater of the mind when it comes to
you don't need them. Yeah, unless you're doing like nitty gritty combat stuff, you don't need a physical map half the time.
Iron Man's is 99 spaces. Is that for sure?
You gotta go. Some repulsors. They go. Wow.
And then damage is usually a number of d6 that you roll, and then plus some sort of additional modifier.
That's when you start doing your algebra equations. When you start calculate your damage.
XD6 plus Y. Kids, make sure you study your math and
have your Texas Instruments calculators with you at the table.
Oh no. Fight damage, which is like melee damage, I believe.
They do a great job representing the differences between the little grunts in an organization versus the skill levels of the heroes. They like that part. That initial balance point. That's one of the things I always look at in these games. Like a Joe average Hydra agent shouldn't be any kind of an issue for anybody at Spider-Man's level, and they're not. They're not even close.
Let's see here. Range damage. So I like the fact that they have different ranges, different values for ranged and for melee damage. Size, because people have different sizes. Power sets, backstory, your origin, your profession, and other traits there, right there. So yeah, that's that. Let's go down to.
I like the power sets. Actually, they were very cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like playing a video game at that point. Like when we were talking about it in our first run through of it, I likened it to the Diablo skill trees, where you pick you get stomp, and then you get super stomp, and then you get earthquake, and then you progress down your tree like that kind of thing. It's a good way to do it.
Absolutely.
Just as long as that's where you're going to have a slippery slope when you're trying to design your own powers. You have to be careful that you don't go way overboard, or And
we should tell folks that this is just the playtest version. This isn't the finished product. There is actual larger hardcover book that's coming out in 2023. This is just to kind of get folks playing, trying to test out the system, trying to just test out various abilities. And so not everything in this book is going to be in the finished, not in whatever's in the finished product isn't all that's included in here. So just if you pick it up and you're like, I wish this had more, the final product will have more. This is just to kind of get people.
I'm curious, I haven't seen any updates really on their forums or anything about it yet, but I'm wondering, is this going to be the only version of the playtest rules, or are they going to roll out other things for people to work with later?
It's probably going to be the only published version.
Yeah.
Whether or not they do
some errata or something.
Yeah, I don't think they'll actually update the the demi plane either. I think it'll be like supplemental sheets, PDFs that they put out. Because otherwise that's a lot of time and effort put into coding all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
That
And you'd have to
can
reprint
change week to week or,
Yeah.
month to month over the next 12 months. So,
and I'll remind folks that Demiplane isn't the only digital product they put out. They put out a Roll20 version as well. So you'd have to update whatever you put out.
They'll do like just blank PDF updates for people. But
I would be curious, and Marvel, if you're watching this, I would be curious if they offer some sort of discount if you bought the playtest version of the digital implementation. If they'll give you like, hey, here's $5 off on the fully. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for trying out our product. Here's $5 off. We know you paid $10. Here's $5 towards your big book purchase.
How are they going to know who bought what?
I mean, you can go right into whoever has it on their account. You could have some sort of code
for the electronic version for sure.
Not for the
physical version.
No.
I'm not really a way to
strictly for the digital version, just to convert people over from buying it from this.
I think it would be cool if you got like an alternate cover for purchasing the digital version. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's not really anything huge, but it's kind of neat.
All right, chapter 4 is combat. Let's see here. Basically, it goes over sequence of play. When you're with your team, with your group of players, you determine which positions you're all going to take, and then roll for initiative. And then you start a new round. Each character takes their turn in initiative order. If the combatants still are able and want to fight, they go back to step 3, which is start a new round, and then otherwise this combat ends. Pretty standard. Pretty standard. I do like, of course, we have determining positions, and it kind of tells you what kind of range you're in. If you're in line of sight, if you're within earshot, within range, size, all this and that. I liked this bonus round gimmick where they have the characters that get a fantastic roll on their initiative check. They get to take place in like a bonus round. So it's almost like you're getting like a sneak attack almost. And you're surprising that. I thought that was very, very clever.
It's very comic book thematic.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Exactly. So I like that when I read that stood out to me quite a bit during initiative. Basically, you're going to roll your 3Ds, your 616, and then apply your initiative modifier, and that's going to determine your order. Let's see here. Players get for combat round, they get an easy action, a standard action, and a movement action, which is kind of like an effortless action or regular action. Movement action. It's pretty standard. Right? That's kind of what a lot of RPGs give you anyway. Let's go through here. I like how you can delay your turn. Of course, that's pretty thematic. So just basic, it gives you the example that if you want to reserve your action, you can basically you can use your movement action. Like say you're Captain America and you're running around and you're being chased by Hydra and you run around a corner. And you want to, reserve your action for later on to see who comes around the corner after you to punch them. You can, and I thought that was a good example of explaining that all out. Easy actions are basically all that. There's just really small actions that you can do: activate, maintain, pick up a small thing. Standard actions are, activate, maintain.
This is where you get to argue about, well, this is small to my character.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's always been a thing in superhero role-playing games, actually. Whenever they do things that are based on semantics, you'll get a lot of debate about stuff like that. It's at least every time I've ever played a super game anyway.
Attack, you can fight or have a melee or ranged attack. You can throw something. Kind of gives actions for that. You can for reactions. It gives you a whole bunch of reactions. It gives you 2 reactions. Interpose, which and skulk. So those are the reactions.
Interposes. I was kind of surprised. I'm surprised to see it, but because it's just such a commonly done thing in comics, especially like you get Captain America is like, somebody's just tried to blast this poor unfortunate soul in the head, and Captain America just whips his shield out and ping, got it. That happens all the time, but to have it actually be an ability is kind of a neat idea.
Definitely. There, like I said, there's some really great things that I love about that I'm digging about this.
It's a pretty robust combat system. They've got rules for like object hardness in there. So obviously, if you're going to be fighting around, you're going to be sending either heroes or villains through buildings. Like they have rules for that. They have rules for, just different damage types, different all that. So it feels like it will accommodate what you want it to, which is good.
It's great that they have rules for our structure hardness and stuff like that, because that again is always a debate point. Like, oh, well, I have a trick arrowhead that does the same damage as a hand grenade. Well, I shot one into the corner of this building. Shouldn't that side of the wall fall down? Well, how many points of damage does that do to the structure or the hardness of the building? If it doesn't do enough, the thing doesn't fall over. That's as simple as that. It's none of this, well, it should, because in this one comic book it did. You avoid all of that debate then. I mean, you'll still have people saying, well, I think I should be able to smash more than this, but still, at least you have a rule to look at.
And that's in any role play game too. Tell me why you should do something cool, and we'll talk about it. So
yeah.
Then it gives movement actions, types of movements, combining modes, flying, gliding, swing lining, teleporting. Oh, I forgot that there was that really cool
cool picture of Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
The artwork in this is actually amazing as well.
It is really good. I haven't really taken a look at it. I just barely got the physical copy out before we went live. So I'm curious to see.
That's going to be one of the big things with the supplements. Actually, is they're going to be so full of art. Probably they'll almost be a collector's item by themselves.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So it also gives the rules on. It gives details on falling, dealing damage, fantastic damage. Love that.
Somewhere Reed Richards is like, why am I not making money off this?
Absolutely. It gives you all sorts of damage types and damage resistance, strange damage, holding back. We won't go into all that.
It looks like a lot, but it's really not.
There's exactly.
It looks complicated,
robust,
but it isn't.
But it's not. Yeah.
Because a lot of it only applies to certain things. Sure. And if you don't have that thing, out you go. You're good.
Condition summary. Yeah, no, I totally really enjoy what I'm seeing so far. And then it goes over objects, size of objects. As it making holes.
Yeah. Because it happens so damn often in these games.
So.
You need a mechanic for making holes in things.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's everything in combat that liked. Then it has a character. Chapter 5 is creating a character. It just kind of goes over. You have there's 7 simple steps to create a Marvel Multiverse role-playing game character. Determine the character's rank, which we said that you probably want to agree upon with your group. Create the concept. Pick the archetype. Pick the ability scores. Pick the backstory. Pick power sets, and calculate all the other scores: your action modifiers, defense scores, health, focus, karma, and initiative modifier, speed, fight damage, and range damage and size. So
this is definitely something you want to do in a session 0.
Absolutely.
Don't tell people to say, hey, everybody make a rank 5 hero and show up on Tuesday and we'll get to playing, because that will be a disaster.
Literally just picturing the Spider-Man cartoon meme where they're just standing there pointing at each other. Yeah. They're the same thing.
Right.
So that's exactly what happens.
So based on the rank, you get so many points of ability score points.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. I like that.
That is, that works. It looks pretty decent. Especially early on, you get quite a bit of.
Even at rank 1, you actually have options. It's not like a lot of people liken it to like basic Dungeons and Dragons style things. Where at level 1, you've got like 2 things that you can do. You can do A or you can do B, and that is really your only choice until you level up a few times, and then you have, hey, I got 3 or 4 things I can do. Huzzah! But with this, you have 5 points right out the bat at rank 1. And
Yep.
honestly, I'm thinking most people are probably going to start off at like rank like 3 to 5 kind of
Yeah,
thing. Just
sure.
so you have a
Just try it out.
decent amount of stuff, because nobody wants to play their favorite hero concept and then be like, oh, well, I can't do like 90% of what I wanted to do with this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then it goes over, powers and abilities. We could make this a 5-hour long video if we were
Easily.
or broadcast if we want to, but
The fact that they have Spiral in the art in this book really makes me just want to buy the whole book already.
right.
I don't.
There's
she's
some
always
deep cuts. There's some
she's
deep
been one of
cuts.
my favorite characters in Marvel for a long time.
Let's see here. So you creating a character. It also has a chapter on archetypes.
Now, the Archetypes chapter is probably one of the most important ones for your character creation, because
Okay.
depending
Yep.
on what archetype you pick will impact pretty much everything your character can do in terms of stat levels and stuff and damage levels. So
So based on your rank, your ability score cap is so much.
That's a great idea too, because
Yep.
that prevents you from having one person who
That's just-
focuses on one thing, and it's basically the laser beam that wipes everything out. So you don't have that.
Absolutely. There are raised ability caps on certain archetypes. They give you the list there, and then just kind of gives you, it gives you your charts for each. And this is where Jason, this is where you were like, what's going on with my
This is the one thing that really screwed me up when I was first looking at this PDF, because I looked at this table and I was like, hey, that on the right-hand side there, I can't see what that says. That's really weird. So I was trying to drag the table over just like you would, like if you were, say, scrolling through your Facebook, and they have that click and drag to move the image around. That's what I was expecting. So I'm clicking and dragging, and I'm like, well, this is like, and then I'm like, is my PDF borked? Do I need to go full screen? So I'm sitting there fiddling around with that, and then I scroll down a bit and see this tiny little slider bar at the bottom. I was like, oh.
It just adds to the fact that I love how interactive this interface is with the online tools. So yeah, even though it was kind of confusing at first for you, Jason, it just goes
honestly,
to show
that is also the one table that I dislike.
Really?
Because it looks so out of place with all of the really basic things they talk about throughout. And then it's like, blob, here's a giant table that looks reminiscent of old school, like 2nd edition D&D.
Sure.
I mean, it's easy enough to use once you look at it. I mean, it's just the visual appearance of it. I was just like, wow, that's looks out of place.
it's also one of those things that you're going to look at this during character creation and whenever you rank up, if you rank up your heroes. At that, but for actual gameplay, you don't need to be referencing.
You don't need to reference.
No,
it. Right.
Yeah, you're not going to have a book open to that table being like, okay, now what can I do here? Because you'll have that'll all be on your character sheet.
Yep. So yeah, I thought that was really great. They give you that. Then they give you a chapter on backstories and origins. I think is what it was. Let me just take a look here. Traits, backstories, and traits. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So
I
traits.
think that might be one of the only stumbling blocks people have as they learn the game, is learning the terms for all of the various things.
Yep.
You have traits, origins, backstories, backgrounds, and then you've got your archetypes and all of that sort of thing that goes with it. Once you get that in your head, I think it'll be a pretty easy go.
The one thing I wish they had in traits here. It feels like there should be some positive traits and some negative traits, and they're all kind of just lumped into the one thing. And depending on what your rank traits are, you'll get some extra traits. But you
do get the challenging traits.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, I got an enemy, cool, that's a trait. But then, connections is also a trait. So something's going to hinder me, something's going to help me. It's very flavorful for building your own character, but by taking a negative, you don't necessarily get a positive back, and that's something
that's true.
That or you don't get, not necessarily a 1-for-1 trade, but give me an extra point of damage or something if I take a giant enemy or something.
They did that with Vampire actually in this second edition. I don't know if they do it with the current one, but second edition Vampire, you had merits and flaws.
Yeah,
if
the
you
merits
took,
and flaws system.
If you took like 2 or 3 flaws, it gave you like an extra 3 or 4 points to spend that you could put into your merits. And you had to, it was a balancing act. You had to balance them out though. So if you wanted extra abilities, you had to take extra flaws. I'm sure there'll probably be a bigger section on that in the core.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You know, this might be just the initial batch that they want to put out and have people play test before they add more into the final product. Chapter 8 is powers. Chapter and basically when you create your own hero, you know your character's rank tells you how many power sets you can pick. So 5th rank character connects up to 5 powers and. Yeah,
powers is the only section where I felt I didn't necessarily have full control over my character.
Okay.
And part of that comes from the tech trees, you know, the power trees that come into this, and I think they're necessary to organize and distill and help simplify character creation and character advancement, but some of them feel a little railroady. With what
you go down this path, and you're going to be Iron Man when you grow up.
Yeah, like if I take a battle suit, you know, okay, sure, I can have, you know, maybe I don't have a Titanic frame battle suit, but eventually I'm gonna just be a big tank with my battle suit. That hopefully there are some ways in the full release that you can customize some of these a little bit more. To give your characters a little bit more,
and they do kind of give you that a little bit in the descriptions. You can choose, depending on the rank of it that you pick. It can be subdermal armor, or it could just be, you know, like a flak suit, or like it doesn't have to be Iron Man armor.
Right.
But as you rank it up, it kind of as you rank it up, it is kind of shoving you towards that eventuality.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I do also like that spider powers is apparently such a large part of the Marvel multiverse that it gets its own tech tree.
That's hilarious.
Ron says, I'm glad that I'm watching this because this is finally coming together for me as you guys discuss it. I'm following along with my Kindle version. Excellent. Yeah, I will. I almost pulled the trigger on the Kindle version and got it on my phone because I have the Kindle app on my phone. And I'm like, no, I have my laptop here at PAX East. I want to try out this demiplane because I hadn't tried out the demiplane digital tool sets yet, and I kind of want to try it out just on this product and see how it was. I'm glad I did. I actually really like it.
Just a quick question for Ron. Does it have the hyperlinking, Ron? Like, does it show you?
Let us
if you
know.
Click on it, does it actually pop up the same thing? I'm curious to know that.
I'd love to know that as well. Aaron says you can get multiple power suites at a higher rank, so you can mix and match your choices from different trees. Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah, you don't have to stay with just one tree. That's for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Well, let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I can't wait to see how many pages the powers section is. That's my big thing. It's gonna be like all of the stuff you have in the playtest is all of the exoskeleton, and this rest of this 300-page book is going to be just powers. Just powers.
We could go like a whole.
Sure. Yeah, we don't need to
hour
break down
or even more longer for that.
No way. Yeah.
Ron says no. It does not have hyperlinks.
It does not. Okay, I was just wondering.
Interesting. That's good to know. Chapter 9 is Marvel Heroes.
Get some of your favorites.
How many people scrolled up to that picture and sat there for 25 minutes naming every single hero on that screen?
Did you really? I didn't. Oh wow! I don't even know if I could. That's cool. But yeah, it gives you the stats for a lot of popular,
I like that they gave you the core heroes as an example, so that you can base like power level stuff. Like if as a GM, you can look at these and say, okay, if this is what a Carol Danvers looks like, so I'm going to use that as the basis of my own big bad for my one shot or actual play or whatever.
Yeah, I would love to see more. I'm excited to see more of these actual like superheroes in the finished product, and they'll probably do villains. I don't think I did.
There are no villains in the playtest
I don't think I
book.
remember seeing any villains in this when I was reading.
Yeah,
it.
there sort of are in the module.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You get
I have not
your
read the
Hydra
module.
stuff. Yeah.
I have not read the module
kind of
yet.
villains, but they're kind of not villains at the same time because they kind of cheat the system a bit to get their villains. I won't spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to read the adventure. Yeah,
I did not read the adventure in case I I was going to get a chance to play it, but I don't know if anybody will want to GM it on the show or not, or if I'm going to have to step up and run it. But I purposely did not read that part of it. We have chapter 10 is the chapter for the narrator, which the playtest rulebook assumes that the game's narrator is a seasoned role player who has rolled lots of dice before, and I mean.
This is both good and kind of a misstep on their part. I realize they need to keep
bad about that.
They need to keep the size of the book down, or like why bother if you're just going to print the whole book and then basically have to put out a second edition immediately thereafter. But yeah, it would have been good to have just maybe a little bit more. Like I think you probably could have gotten away with. One or two fewer pages in traits for the playtest book, and you could have put that into the narrator part of it.
Sure. So. Yeah. Let's see here. It just says it goes over. If you want to use a map, if you want to do theater of the mind, if you want to use miniatures, freeform, playing on a grid, all the tips that you're supposed to be doing, if you're GMing a game. So it also gives you an adventure called Enter Hydra, which, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but this is for just the narrator's eyes.
Stop reading.
We won't read that.
I like that they chose Hydra because everybody, like every hero has that moment where they're just absolutely raffle stomping a bunch of low-level peons. Right. And that's going to give everybody playing like their first time in this game is just going to be like, ha ha ha, I am mega powerful. Just like smacking swaths of Hydra agents to the side.
So we'll let those that want to run that and read it for themselves. And Jason, I guess you read it already. Do you want to just kind of give like your thoughts, just kind of generic, non-spoiler free?
It's a good adventure, actually. They deliberately tailored it to push you to use all of the basic ability checks, all of the basic attribute checks. I can't remember what they're called now. What do they call the attributes? The Marvel. What is that?
Ability?
Is it abilities?
They're attributes.
Okay. Yeah. So the adventure pushes you to make use of all of those to show your players what they can be used for, how they affect gameplay and stuff like that. There's enough bad guys, and there's enough nostalgia for anybody who's read comics and they know about Hydra, or anybody who's seen the movies. They know that Hydra is just a organization full of mostly low-level peons with a few high-level people. Yep. So you've got that right out of the gate. No one's going to be like, "What's a Hydra agent?" Like very rarely, unless you have a person completely new to comic books and games.
Sure.
It's short. It's succinct. It doesn't mess around too much. It does have some jumping off points where you could continue the adventure. So all in all, it's well done.
How long do you think a session would be to play it out?
It depends on your players, honestly.
Yeah.
If they want to do a lot of interacting amongst themselves, it could take a while. If they want to just get down to the nitty-gritty of the adventure, I would say 2 to 3 hours tops.
Okay.
To really do it some justice. Yeah. It could be, it's a pretty, without feeling too forced or anything. Like you're always going to get your Scooby-Doo party member who's going to be like, "What's this box? This box on the desk. I don't know what this box does." And they're all looking at it for half an hour debating what they should do with it. And your narrator is just like, "Oh my God, it's just a box, guys."
I've never seen a player that does that before. I've never done that. Players do that, Jason?
Oh, all the time.
So Ghost Raccoon says a lot of people will likely be running an RPG for the first time with this, and that's one thing that I will talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I agree. I think that's true, and I don't think that they can necessarily assume that the GM is experienced with this. That's another.
I could see a lot of people doing the whole, hey, I like comics. I've liked the Marvel movies. I've never touched a role-playing game. I'm going to pick this up because I have a lot of knowledge about what's in the box. That's a Seven reference for anyone who was not paying attention.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I could see somebody picking it up for the first time and being like, okay, let's see how this works. And honestly, I think it's not a bad first RPG to start with. If you pick up the playtest book, you would definitely be familiar enough with the rules by the time the launch goes.
Sure. Absolutely. Aaron also gives the thumbs up on the Roll20 module, so that's good to hear that the Roll20 module is really well done.
And it only took an hour and 40 minutes for their actual play.
Nice.
There you
go. Rodrigo says, I think it's a very elegant system, robust but quite elegant. That's very, that's probably a very good read on.
I haven't checked out the Reddit forum for it yet, but I'm sure there's probably hundreds of people doing. These are my new power, but like they're going through the comics and saying, okay, let's stat these people.
So Glossary, really well done. With
I was
Glossary,
amazed to see this in a playtest book.
Yep, I was too. Super stoked that I'll be honest with you, I hadn't scrolled all the way this far by the time I'd gotten done at PAX East, so it's really nice to see that they have a glossary. Rules reference. Look at that, just kind of quick.
Yep.
I love it when
easy rules reference. Yep.
I love it when the rule book has rules reference sheet, and then of course the credits for the system. The D616 system is Mike Capps, Matt Forbeck, and John Nee, and the writer is Matt Forbeck. Cover artist, and I there are some variant covers, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And I just want to give a shout out. Simeon Cogswell, they are amazing. I've worked with them a few times, and when it was announced that they were doing the graphic design for this project and for this product, I was super stoked for them. Simeon, congratulations, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit when I give you my thoughts on the actual physical book. Shout out to Simeon. They're awesome. They're awesome. Let's see here. Playtesters, thank you all to all the playtesters for.
It does amuse me that there are already a list of playtesters in the playtest rulebook, but
hey, oh, and my guy Jim Zub is in here. That's awesome. Look at this. I'm looking at the playtesters, and I'm looking at all the people that I know in here. That's so awesome. Jim Zub, of course, we all know him. He's a legendary comic book artist. Will Sobel. Will is another one that Ryan Schoon. Awesome. Look at this. This is like a who's who of people that I like. I'm like
even I know some of these people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Good deal. So yeah, thank you
I like
to everybody that
playtested
this already. And then of course the dedication to Stanley.
That's a cool dedication
Jack
in a comics game to have dedication to Gygax and Arneson. That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Awesome. So that's what the Demiplane digital tool set looks like. From what we can tell, the Roll20 edition is actually really well done, according to Aaron, which I will believe 100% because I'm sure Aaron would not steer us wrong in that
regard.
We will
accept Aaron's word at face value.
But now that I've seen that and I have the digital, the physical book in my hand, I'll turn off the blur a little bit in my screen so then that way it doesn't kind of blur out the physical book. Ben, you have this as well. Mm-hmm. Getting one to Jason probably wouldn't get there until 2024.
I would have the core book in hand before the playtest rules arrived.
I'm just flipping through this just like probably 20 minutes before we went live, and Simeon, of course, Simeon's done a lot of great things in during their career. They did the layout for a lot of the RuneQuest. They did the layout for the RuneQuest starter. That is amazing.
Really,
RuneQuest
I'm a big fan of that. I did not know
the
that.
RuneQuest starter for by Chaosium is just a phenomenal product. If you are thinking about getting into RuneQuest, that is, I'm going to tell you right now, pick it up because it's probably one of the best values in role playing. And Simeon did that, and I'll tell you what, this is right up there. Simeon, you did a great job. I'm super stoked. Like, as much as
clean, it's easy to read. The charts are appropriately sized. I'm not squinting at little tiny numbers trying to figure out what's going on.
So the large tables, like the scrolling ones that I had in my PDF, those are all laid out nice. They're on. Oh, that's cool. I like.
Yeah. So and I like the fact that there's very few pages that are just text. Like, it seems like every page has some sort of percentage. There's
it has to. It's a comic book game.
Exactly.
You can't not put comic book art there. That would look so weird.
So I'm a big fan of this. For $10, this is a great buy, folks. I'm telling you right now. Go, if your friendly local game store, your comic book store has copies of this, pick it up. If you're thinking about just trying out an RPG, pick it up, because I can't say enough. I ordered 3 copies just because I know I'm going to be stoked for, and I'm going to wear one of them out. And then I just want to have one.
So there were variant covers of the playtest rules.
So there are variant covers, just like they do with comic books. And I wasn't really sure, and I think I said this on the last video that we did when we were do the pay to playtest video. I wasn't sure if I was going to get into the whole collecting, the different variant covers. Now that I have one of them in my hand, I'm like, oh, I want the variant.
Gotta get them all.
I want them all, and that's exactly why they did it too.
Oh yeah. Well, come on. Wait till the core rulebook comes out and they have 17 variant covers with foil or something foolish like that. People will be paying a premium for those.
Ben, what are your thoughts on this physical copy?
I like it. As you said, the price point is perfect for this. If it had been any more, I don't think it would be a successful, purchasable playtest rulebook.
Yeah, I think at $15, it probably wouldn't feel as. I mean, it would probably sell. But it wouldn't sell you wouldn't feel like you're getting a great deal.
People will grab that just because it's something cool to read, or they want to just check out the art. And for $10, the art alone is worth it.
And it's cheap enough that if you're just a Marvel collector, you're not gonna blink. You're like, oh, this is a piece of Marvel. I'm going to add it to my collection.
Yep.
So
it's 120 pages. How many pages are comics usually now?
24
to 30. Yeah.
Are they really? I haven't bought a comic, a physical comic in a while.
When I was a young man, they were 32 pages.
And how much are comics are? $4, $5 now?
5 to 6.
Oh,
really?
See, that's what priced me out of collecting.
Yeah.
When I stopped collecting, they were $3.20 Canadian, and I was like, "Nah, I'm out, guys."
For the price of 2 comics, actually, for less than price of 2 comics, you can pick up this booklet,
and it's endless hours of fun right there. Even the rules are fairly complete. You can make up your own powers and abilities if you want, but
Rodrigo says it's already out of stock in Amazon.
Oh wow!
Brazil. Oh man, I'm Rodrigo. I'm going to tell you right now that Demiplane, and if anybody's watching this and they're watching it after the fact, after we're live, I'm going to put the links to the Demiplane website in the comments below or in the description below, and I'll also put it on. I'll put the Marvel RPG just where you can find it on your friendly local game store. I'll put the link for Amazon, and then I'll also put the Roll20 version as well. But even before I had the physical version in my hand, the Demiplane version actually had me sold. So even if you're just going to get the a digital tool set, Yeah, I think for $10, it's still well worth it. Just because it's all hyperlinked. I love those little pop-up windows. They did a really...
The fact that that little table of contents option follows you on every single page is awesome.
Yeah.
Like when you click into any of the tabs in the book, you have the little table of contents in the bottom left-hand corner that you can scroll through to jump around the entire book.
Yeah.
Like it starts off with the section you're working in, but if you're like, hey, I want to read something about, I'm like, you're in the combat section, I want to read something about archetypes. You just click on archetypes in the table of contents thing, and it takes you right there immediately. So you don't have to scroll all the way back to the top or start over.
Yeah. No. The few things that I would probably not that probably don't meet my expectations are when I originally heard about this and knowing it was a 3D6 system, I assumed that it was going to be more rules light and more story driven. And I feel like some of the aspects, and of course it's an RPG, so you can kind of take out whatever mechanics you play it however you want to play it, however your group wants to play it. I figured it was going to be a little more rules light. Am I hugely disappointed? No, not really. I mean, it's fine. They do a good job, and I don't think it's super math heavy that you're just going to be like, oh my god, I can't stand this. But I think for an entry level RPG, it might be a little math heavy, but it's still not horrible.
I think the biggest complexity of this game is going to be character creation and character maintenance.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it goes with most super roleplay.
Oh, yeah.
systems.
Half the time you're playing is going to be just character creation.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
I think the game will flow well once you're playing it. I don't think it's so crunchy. You're not looking up tables and everything all the time.
Not all the time.
So, and after a session or two, you're going to know what your character can do, and it's going to be secondhand.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, when the game fully launches on Demiplane, if they don't have an automated character creation system, just like D&D Beyond has.
That would be
like
good.
You want to make a striker.
Yep.
Click striker. Boom. Here, we'll automatically populate your character page with the basics of it. Click your modifications. Click your power suites. Click this. Click that. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your character. You want to print it? No. You want to save it? Okay. You want to fire it off online? Here you go.
Yep.
Then you'll have people with 7,500 pre-made superheroes. Like, because what else you got to do in your spare time when you're not playing, right? You're going to make a character.
Ron says it's about as crunchy as 5e. Yeah, I'd give it that that's exactly how I'd probably compare it to, which is fine. I mean, 5e
crunchy,
5e isn't, it doesn't have any problems gaining new players, as it goes on.
And it's like I said with the power suite thing, it's very video gamey. So people are going to easily figure that system out. Like, hey, I pick this ability, I can move on to that ability with my next level up or whatever they want to call it, my next advancement. People are used to that sort of mechanic, so it will be very easy for them to understand.
The cover is really like. Again, I expected the playtest version to be pretty much almost like a comic book, but this is got a cover like a graphic novel. So
yeah, if you're
nice
familiar with like a trade paperback, that's exactly what it is. It's that kind of glossy paper with the semi-rigid cover, the glued binding. It's not stapled. Yeah, no, it's a very, very good physical quality.
Yep. And it's $10. Jonathan says, let's see here. The rules have a lot of issues. Interesting.
Well, I mean, it's a playtest.
Yeah, it is a playtest. So, I think that they want to get feedback on
that's what they want you to do. They want you to run the rules around and see if you can break them or find inconsistencies or
Yep.
show something that breaks the system.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's probably going to do pretty much our our initial thoughts. Jason says might determines accuracy in combat, so a character like Hulk can easily hit Spider-Man. Interesting. Well, I'm sure that all that will be given back as playtest feedback to the designers and to the folks that are putting this product out. Yeah. Any last comments as far as this product is concerned, Ben, Jason?
I think it's gonna do well. They've got the bones here to have a nice product in 2023, and if they can keep it up and listen to feedback and continue to put the quality and the attention that they've obviously put into the playtest book in terms of layout and design and everything, I think they can have a really good thing. So,
absolutely. Jason, what about you? Any last comments?
I think it'll be a good game. I don't know that it's going to be wildly successful, like mass markety.
That's kind of my thoughts too.
Only because there are a lot of other superhero RPGs out there doing the legwork for what this game is going to be standing on, like Champions and all the other generic games. So if you're looking to break into the role playing crowd, I don't know how easy that's going to be for the characters, or for the people that already have been playing superhero games for the decades in the past here, because they're going to be very fond of the systems they have. So this will need to definitely introduce something remarkable for them to want to pick this up.
Yep, absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for our broadcast of our initial thoughts of the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. If you are a fan, or if you have any comments as far as this system and as this new playtest book, and let us know in the comments down below. I'm really good about getting back to folks' comments. And if you enjoyed this video, or if you're excited about the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, hit that like button down below. We'd greatly appreciate it. I will remind folks that VCG, the show that you're watching right now, is sponsored by Black Moon Games. And if you're in the Northeast, you can pick up all sorts of fine gaming products at shop-black-moon.com. And Tony at Black Moon Games will be glad to send out all sorts of gaming goodness to your doorstep. And if you're in the Lebanon, New Hampshire area, make sure to check them out. Jonathan also says, check out the Facebook group for the game. Yes, we'll definitely do that. Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see where the community kind of gathers around. I'm sure that the Facebook group is probably one of those. So, all right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Victory Condition Gaming. Remember, winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. Thanks, everyone, for joining us live. If you're listening to the audio podcast, like I said, make sure to join us every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, or on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. for actual plays. All right. See you next time. Thank you so much. And remember, winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. Bye now. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you would be so kind, and make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe, all the YouTube jazz that we're supposed to do here. It really is greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to support us more, you can check us out on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/victoryconditiongaming. We have all sorts of Patreon perks, and it definitely helps support our show. Thank you so much.